Hello everyone, there we go. We've hit 6 o'clock, so we will get this started right on the dot. Welcome to Bicycle Network's annual member night and annual general meeting. My name is Anthea Hargreaves and I'm Bicycle Network's General Manager of Public Affairs and Marketing, and I have the pleasure of being your host for this evening. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I am hosting this meeting from my home on the lands of the Wurundjeri people. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you all watch and participate today, and any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who may be participating tonight. I pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of Australia. So obviously tonight is a little bit different than our usual annual member night and AGM. Of course, our entire Bicycle Network team would much rather be with you in person, celebrating what would normally be the end to an action-packed October, including Around the Bay and National Ride to Work Day. But given everything that's happened in 2020, it just wasn't meant to be this year. However, one benefit of tonight's new format is that without location as a barrier, even more members will be able to tune in, some for the first time, and I'd like to welcome them and everyone else who has joined us tonight. I'd like to warmly welcome Bicycle Network's President, Keir Patterson, Vice President Joe Curtin, Bicycle Network board members, as well as any life members who have joined us tonight, and as well Bicycle Network's team. Before we do get into the swing of things, I'd like to run you through how tonight will work. It's obviously a little bit different than what we're used to. So please be aware that tonight will be recorded. It is a webinar, so you'll not be visible and your microphones have been muted. Tonight will include a welcome from our President, a presentation on our biggest moments from 2020 from Bicycle Network's leadership team, before we head into the formalities of an annual general meeting. Following the AGM, we'll have a Q&A with Bicycle Network's leadership team. To participate in tonight's Q&A, you'll notice at the bottom of your screen a Q&A button, and we encourage you to post your questions at any point during the evening, and please do engage with the chat. Our team will monitor and respond to all that we can. The polling function will also be used during the annual general meeting, but our president will run you through that when we get to that point. So to kick things off, I would like to welcome Bicycle Network's President, Keir Patterson, to speak.
Thanks, Anthea. I'll start with I'd like to welcome all members to the Bicycle Network 2020 AGM, but I will start with a few housekeeping matters. Please, if you would like to speak during the meeting or move a motion, then use the raise the hand option and our team will unmute you and then state your name and wait for confirmation before speaking. Voting will be conducted via poll. In line with our constitution, only Bicycle Network members who have been a member for 12 months or longer are permitted to vote. Our constitution allows each member to hold 5 proxies. Proxy votes will be added manually to the poll results for those who have nominated prior to the meeting. The answers to all questions without notice, whether they're answered tonight or not, will be posted on the website by mid-November, and this session is being recorded for those who would like to relive the experience. I would firstly like to introduce my board colleagues. So present we have Vice President Joe Curtin and my fellow board members Gillian Hatch, Preeta Jobling-Baker and James Garrick. I welcome Tim Jones from Corp Vote, who is our returning officer, and Sarah Aird from Awesome Admin. I also welcome all our Bicycle Network team members led by the leadership team. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge any of our life members who have joined us tonight and thank them for their incredible contribution to our organisation. Before we get to the formalities of the AGM though, I'd just like to offer some brief observations on the year just gone. It has been a year like no other. It's certainly been a very difficult, but also an exciting year in some respects for people who care about people who ride bikes. We've seen some much loved events cancelled, as Anthea mentioned, and we've had to contend with curfews, bunch riding limits, 5K bubbles, now 25K bubbles. And safe to say, look, it's been challenging for all of us in many respects. So I would like to thank the whole Bicycle Network team for not only surviving in this environment, but in fact thriving. We've seen the whole teams within Bicycle Network remain completely focused on getting more people riding more often, even where they've had to invent new ways to do so. And we'll hear about, won't steal their thunder, we'll hear about more of that tonight. But some of the breakthroughs this year in terms of membership, behaviour change, communications engagement, and particularly advocacy and legislative change, they would be significant achievements at any time and in any year. But I think particularly so in this environment and this year. So I did want to thank and recognise the whole Bicycle Network team led by Craig and his leadership team. I'd also like to thank my board colleagues for their focus and dedication in a rapidly changing environment, with some added financial and governance challenges during the year, given everything we've been going through. And also like to thank them for remaining focused and mostly in good humour through all of those after work Zoom sessions, the frequent crashing of the NBN, and other challenges that have been thrown in our path as a team. The whole team has functioned well and achieved a lot for the year, which is particularly, I think, notable given we've actually not seen each other in person since March. Finally, and most importantly, I'd like to thank the members who are here tonight, but also the membership as a whole. And whether you're a new member who's just started writing or a life member, we don't exist without you. So I wanted to recognise that and thank you for your continuing support during a time when, let's face it, we've all been carrying a pretty heavy cognitive load at times. Renewing your membership probably wasn't top of your to-do list, and with your ongoing support is awesome, and it's also humbling, I think, for the board and for the whole Bicycle Network team. So I will move on to the formalities now. Item 1 is apologies and meeting opening. We have no apologies. The notice of this meeting has been in the hands of members for more than the 21 days required by the Constitution. You will also have received the notice of this meeting by email via In the Loop. I declare the meeting open, and I'm advised by management that the quorum of 10 members entitled to vote is present. Many of you will be familiar with the formal meeting procedure. However, I want to confirm that the AGM may only consider business of which 1 month's notice has been given in accordance with clause 20.3 of the Bicycle Network Constitution. No notice of other business has been received within the timeframe as stated, and therefore the only business for consideration is as included in the published notice of this meeting. First item of business then is minutes of the last meeting. The draft minutes of the 2019 Annual General Meeting are published on our website and made available to you via the link sent in the attendance confirmation email today. Would somebody please put the motion that the minutes of the 2019 AGM be accepted?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you, James. May I have someone second the motion?
Happy to do that, Keir. Joe Curtin here.
Thank you, Joe. I will now formally put the motion that the minutes of the 2019 AGM be accepted. A poll will appear on your screen shortly. Please nominate whether you are in favour or against the motion. And you do have to press submit right down, just down at the bottom of that box there to submit your response. We'll just play some suspenseful music while we're waiting for the results.
Just waiting on a few more, Kia.
No worries.
Just give it 5 more seconds. Anyone else? Last chance. We have 100% in favour. Yeah.
Thank you, Beck. The next item is the financial reports. Copies of the full financial statements have been made available to you via the link sent in the attendance confirmation email today. All these have been available to members on the Bicycle Network website, and I propose that we take them as read. I now move that the financial statements, together with the directors' declarations and the directors' and auditors' reports, be received according to section 18.2 of the Constitution. Would somebody please put the motion?
I will.
Thank you, Gillian. May I have someone second the motion?
Prita will second it.
Thank you, Prita. I will now formally put the motion to receive the full financial statements. And again, a poll will appear on your screen shortly. Please quickly enter whether you are in favour or against and press submit. I should have prepared some jokes for this time. I'm sorry about that. I'll wait for the completion of the results.
Five more seconds for those still getting their votes in.
We do have a question in the chat there. Can we get the number of members attending, please? I know at opening there were 27 in attendance. I don't know if that's increased since the meeting started.
Now 51 eligible voters.
Now we have 51.
And 100% in favour, Kia.
Awesome. I would now like to hand over to Vice President Joe Curtin to talk to the most recent board election results.
Thanks, Kia. It's my privilege to announce the composition of the 2020 board of the Bicycle Network. As a result of the election, Kia Patterson and Jenica Brooke have been elected. Congratulations, Kia, on your re-election, and welcome to the board of the Bicycle Network, Jenica. Looking forward to meeting you. Big thanks to our returning officer, Tim Jones from Corp Vote. Thank you, well done. And of course, big thanks to all of the other candidates that missed out for their interest in running for the board. The very healthy election, incredible candidates this year, and by running, people really demonstrate their commitment to our organisation. I think it's really admirable. So well done all. I'd like to thank the continuing board members for their hard work, particularly during these last few months. As Kia has referenced, it feels like too many Zoom meetings are never enough. But I'd also like to publicly thank the contribution of our outgoing board member, Kate Eddy, who has been a board member since 2017. She couldn't be with us tonight, unfortunately. But in her absence, I just want to acknowledge her contribution and to thank her for fantastic efforts on the board, and certainly greatly appreciated, and her impact on the board will be felt even in her absence as we move forward. I think that's it from me, Kia. Back to you.
Thank you, Joe. So that's the end of the official business as far as the AGM goes. So I now declare the meeting closed. Back to you, Anthea.
Thanks, Kia. So obviously since our last annual members night, Bicycle Network, like many others, have had some incredible wins and faced many challenges as an organisation. I'd now like to take the opportunity to introduce Bicycle Network's leadership team to run you through what the past 12 months has looked like for us as we work towards building a nation of bike riders. It is at this point I'd also like to remind you to put up any questions that you may have in the Q&A so that our leadership team can answer those for you at the end of our little presentation. So first up, we do have our General Manager of Behaviour Change, Layla Asadi.
Thank you, Anthea. Welcome everybody, hi. So I guess I was going to run you through my area of behaviour change, and I was going to start with the wonderful Ride to School programs that we run across Victoria and Tasmania. As I'm sure many of you will agree, we understand that getting in early with bike riding is really key to lifelong habits, building those habits. And so it's really good to have a program that can work thoroughly with our schools and our communities across those areas. So for Victoria and Tasmania, the main thing that we've been focusing on over the last kind of 12 months really is our really big portfolio that we work towards for National Ride to School Day. So that's our big national day where everybody celebrates. It's got hundreds of thousands of students participating. And there's two real reasons that we do it. One is a celebration of everybody that gets on board and gets on their scooter or walks to school or rides. And it's really great to see everybody dressing up, taking part and celebrating the wonderful activity and their efforts in that. And it's also, the other reason for doing it is to encourage new people or new schools that are not part of the programme usually to get started and to think about this as a behaviour that they may start to incorporate into their day-to-day lives. So it's been really wonderful to see the hundreds of thousands of young people and families across the country really mobilising to enjoy that day that we hold in March. We see roughly an average of about 50%. It was 49% in the last 12 months in terms of students actively travelling. That number is generally a double of the percentage of the national average, and we see that rise because of the participation within our programmes. It's really good to see some dedicated time spent with schools, with communities, where we try and figure out what the issues and the barriers are and how we can make those changes, and to see those numbers drive up in terms of the active travel rate going up is really wonderful. I'm always really super impressed to see that every year. In Tasmania, our team smashing some targets down there in the last 12 months. We've had a 64% of our target for school engagement was met within the first quarter of the year. So that just really shows the demand that there is in Tasmania at the moment for that work and for that response, for actively travelling and safe road behaviour. So it's it's brilliant to see that kind of getting out of the stalls really early and seeing some really fabulous numbers in terms of the active travel rates going up there. We are working with a variety of partners, and as the programme grows particularly, we are looking to widen that, and it's really nice to see different areas come on board. So our team in Tas have been working hard, not only with the road safety teams, but with health and education as well, and that's been a really important part of the growth of the programme in the last 12 months. And that really does speak to the reach that we can have, as well as the impact, obviously, the more areas that we can align ourselves with and the partnerships that we can grow. Back to general bits and pieces of the Ride to School programme, we've been working on our new technology. We've released an app in the last the last 12 months, and it's really a way to encourage people to enter their hands up collections to say how they were riding to school. So it's baseline information that we need in order to make an assessment of how we take people forward and where we can go from that. So a better way of collecting our data, and that's been really wonderful to see the schools really jump on board and find that easy way to connect in with us. So it's been really great to see. And also, I suppose the biggest section of our Ride to School is the COVID switch up that we've had in terms of no schools were open. We couldn't go to schools and kids weren't riding to school. So what did we do? Well, we had a bit of a think, and we decided that the best thing to do was to just try and keep our young people and families active. So we worked on a range of behaviour change initiatives to try and encourage the schools to motivate their communities to keep riding during this time, because we know that physical activity of 60 minutes a day is still really important, and we really wanted to see the schools help the schools to find something. And we had a 15% increase in our resources take up compared to this first half of the year. So that was really good to see. Teachers really wanted to speak to us and find out ways that they could encourage their classes and their classrooms to get active regardless, and obviously take those opportunities in the day while they were being homeschooled to still get on the bike. And as we've all seen, it's been huge in terms of seeing people out there with their families. So that was been really good to see, and a big congratulations to the team who've managed to keep people pedaling, keep people active and riding, despite not actually physically being able to travel to school. I would like to say a quick thank you to our funders within the programmes. We've got the Department of State Growth in Tasmania and Sport and Recreation in Victoria. So obviously a massive thank you for the support that we receive for that. One other area that I just wanted to touch on briefly was a campaign we've run called Park It for the Planet. And that really was a digital campaign to really put the climate change agenda really in the spotlight. We know that that's a big part of our solution as bike riders. And Obviously, it's a big part of the health context as well. We're not just talking about individuals' health when we talk about getting people physically active for health reasons. We are talking about the livability of our cities and the health of our communities. And it's really good to see that we had some inroads to be able to put that out through the ABC's Fight for Planet A TV show that aired in a support for that, and be able to talk about parking your car, taking the bike instead, and finding ways to get around actively. So that was really good to kind of put that on the agenda for this year. And that's all from me for now, and I will pass over to our Head of Public Affairs and Marketing, Anthea Hargreaves.
Thanks, Layla. Back to me. You will hear a lot from me tonight. So yes, talking about advocacy. When it comes to making it easier and safer for people of all ages and abilities to ride, it's never business as normal, but there was no way that we could have predicted what opportunities 2020 would have in store for us. So without a doubt, our biggest moment in 2020 has been our campaign to keep Australians pedalling during lockdown and capitalise on that huge momentum shift of more people riding so that it leads to some long-term behaviour change. In early March, we released our Pedalling to a Better Normal plan, which called for a coordinated approach from all levels of government. Our proposed bike riding stimulus package called on the government to consider investing in pedal power to safeguard our health, create jobs and improve the spending power of Australians. We called for 750 kilometres of adaptable bike lanes across all levels of government, incentives including a paid ride to work scheme, tax rebates for new bicycles, supportive laws like minimum passing distance and footpath riding, and investment in programs to encourage and support children and less experienced bike riders to get pedalling for the first time. As the year went on, this campaign quickly morphed into also keeping bike mechanics open and the creation of people-friendly streets to support local businesses and active transport. As a result of some strong campaigning alongside the efforts of local advocates, we had some amazing wins, and we saw bike lanes pop up in Sydney and Melbourne. We saw the Victorian government announce an additional 100 kilometres of lanes, and a massive, massive win, which cannot be understated, was the announcement of minimum passing distance laws in Victoria, which no doubt, I'm sure you're all clapping even though I can't see you on the screen. More recently, we've also seen the federal government announce funding to widen the Tasman Bridge in Hobart, another game changer for people who ride. So there's definitely been a swing towards recognising bike riding as a capacity building, healthy and cost-effective way for people to get around. And we hope that this momentum continues into the coming year and that we can transform that into some long-term change. It would also be remiss of me not to mention that we found time to campaign the National Transport Commission to see heavy vehicle standards increase nationally, greater interventions and enforcement to stop distracted driving. We called for separated bike lanes in Hobart. We ran a local government election campaign alongside Bugs, and we're, fingers and toes crossed that we get some good results out of that. And we also worked hard to make sure that bikes weren't forgotten in Melbourne's ongoing big build projects. So while making it easier to ride for everyone can seem like a mammoth task, we're making real progress, and that's thanks to the support of our nearly 50,000 members, and we're seeing some real change for the better. So thank you for helping making my job, I guess, so enjoyable so that we can see some massive wins that we've had in 2020, and we look forward to what 2021 has in store. Next up, I do have Beck, our General Manager of Events.
Thanks, Anthea. It has been a big year as well on the events front, but of course very different to normal with COVID-19 having a significant impact on what we can deliver. Back in March, we were forced to cancel Newcrest Orange Challenge just a few days out from its scheduled date. And then since then, of course, we have cancelled Around the Bay and the Great Vic Bike Ride for the first time in their 27 and 36-year histories. However, there's also been some incredible moments to celebrate over the past 12 months, including our first Great Top End Escape event selling out in record time. So off the back of a sellout Great Outback Escape that we ran last year, we launched the Great Top End Escape for 2021, which will showcase the very best of Darwin and Kakadu. Due to the demand and the sellout, we've now launched a second event, which will run just a week later next July, with that on track to sell out by the end of the year as well. We've also seen our women's participation in our events grow by 7% to 27% overall. This is a result of focused activity through our women's community initiatives on each event. And this includes support from passionate ambassadors and also increased representation of women in our imagery across Bicycle Network's campaigns. Our goal for this year is to grow that to over 30%, and we've got a particular focus on Peaks Challenge Falls Creek, which has sat at about 10% of women participating for the last few years, and we're keen to see that grow in 2021. In another highlight, we had over 3,000 volunteers contribute their time, energy and expertise across a huge range of Bicycle Network programs and events. This includes over 300 individuals who joined us for the longest ever Great Vic bike ride last year, which was 11 days of support and work from them, which was incredible. Over $25,000 in volunteer donations was paid to community groups who have helped out across our events and programs. And I can't forget our very loyal workshop team who've had a hand in getting each and every one of those programs off the ground and dedicated work every week in keeping all our gear and our logistics maintained. Finally, back in March, wedged in between a horrific summer season for the Alpine region and COVID-19 hitting us, we had our 11th Peaks Challenge Falls Creek. On that day, we had the backs of over 1,400 riders who took on grueling conditions, including freezing temperatures and heavy rain up Mount Hotham. And the veteran riders of the event described it as the toughest edition to date. Of course, there was hundreds more moments across the event season that really speak to the sense of community and celebration that we see on these events. We can't wait to create many more in 2021 when we're back on the ground. But for now, I'm going to pass it over to Glenn Janetsky, our General Manager of Commercial.
Thank you, Beck. First, I'll just touch on some work our team's done regarding the COVID counts. So as the first round of lockdown began, we knew that more people of all ages were turning to their bikes as a way to keep fit and explore their neighbourhoods. To strengthen the case for more places to ride, we needed solid data and evidence. So our Super Counts team, responsible for Super Tuesday and Super Sunday, quickly mobilised and led a project to gather and analyse data from 6 to 10 key bike traffic sites on 4 different dates. The information showed an incredible increase in bike usage of up to 270%. We now had the proof that people across Melbourne wanted to ride. We just needed to create the right conditions to keep this momentum going and turn it into long-term behaviour change. This data was then used as the base of our Pedalling to a Better Normal campaign and helped to advocate to government and local councils for things such as pop-up bike lanes and an increase in spending on bicycle infrastructure. Membership growth. As Australia's biggest bike riding organisation, we put our members at the centre of everything that we do. In the past year, we've focused on increasing our member benefits and adapting our membership to suit what bike riders need. We've launched new member-driven bicycle advocacy campaigns, a rider rescue service, cashback program, and trialled the first of many wingback campaigns to bring lapsed members back into the fold. We also saw the recent addition of our community memberships and basic cover third-party membership, allowing us to better service the needs of Australia's bike riding community. As a result, we've seen our membership steadily grow in a time of unpredictability. We've finished the year on more than 47,600 members from across the country, an increase of over 2,600 on the past year. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our loyal members for their ongoing support. Rider rights. Through our membership and advocacy, Bicycle Network continues to play an active and supportive role when people riding bikes have been injured. Over the year, we've helped 408 of our members get back on the road after a crash. Some of these issues we've helped members include property damage, injury, and income protection. And the data collected through these claims also helps us to shape our advocacy and campaigns. And now I'd like to hand over to Craig, our CEO.
Thanks very much, Glenn. Look, I'm just going to have a bit of a talk about loss and things we miss, and then on the other side, a bit of thanks and on the positive. So I'll go between the two, so stick with me and we'll see how this goes. Firstly, on the most solemn side, the loss side, obviously every year we do have a number of bike riders throughout the country who do lose their lives. We have a number who are severely injured. Some of those are well known. Some of those, all of those, I should say, are vitally important. We recently lost one of our members, Dick Terrans, had some high profile cases go to court around Gita Sheenhauer, Jason Lowndes and others. And I just wanted to firstly express to everyone out there who's experienced that terrible moment our deepest condolences and deepest sympathies, and let you know that we'll do everything we can to try and minimise the chances of anyone else having a similar terrible tragedy. On the other sort of side of loss, Glenn did mention riders' rights. One thing I think we've done this year that has been something new we've added that's really been fantastic is we do know a number of members from time to time have their property damaged, particularly their bike when it's hit by a vehicle. It's been hard for them to recoup some compensation for that. And we fought really hard for members this year. We've started an area, we're having some really good wins. For a lot of people, it might seem small amounts, but if it's $500, $1,000, $1,500, you're out of pocket with your bike. We really love fighting for that, and we're showing some good wins, which I think is fantastic. Onto the positive side and the thanks. I mean, geez, who would have thought at the start of this year we'd end up here? So many things have happened we didn't expect. When this COVID thing first hit, who would have thought this lockdown would have come and people would have taken to the streets on two wheels with great gusto all over Australia and all over the world. It's been something I would never expected. I've been at this 12 years. We didn't see it coming. In Australia, it was quite hard to capitalise on that. We did get going though, and as Anthea and the team has mentioned, there's been some amazing wins that have happened recently. And really, I like to think of that. I think that while obviously it's been a terrible thing for so many people, what's happened with COVID, for bikes, I reckon we've accelerated probably 5 years in a year for what we're going to see for people for riding bikes. So that's something that we probably never expected. And of course, now we really make sure we keep the pressure on so that every year we can accelerate things much quicker so that we can achieve our goals. Back to things we miss. There's a lot of things that we've sort of missed. I know I've missed, and those of you watching from around the country, being stuck in Victoria, I know I've really missed going to Tasmania, seeing our volunteer committee and the people down there, going to Sydney. I haven't been to Sydney at all this year. I did my first conference presentation the other day and I did it into a camera rather than doing it in Sydney. NT, we haven't got to go to NT, all those places. That's been really difficult because I know we like to make sure we represent our members everywhere. And other things we've missed too, you might not think we did miss them, but I know on Around the Bay Day a couple of weeks ago, I did miss waking up at 3:30 a.m. to get there for the start. Coming up for Great Vic, which will be, in a week or month or so's time. I'll even miss hearing that toilet door slam at whatever time in the morning when you're actually trying to go to sleep. There's a lot of things we miss. We miss seeing you. I would never have thought that we'd only get to see our members live once this year at Peaks. All that things we've missed. And it's something that we hold dear to our heart. We really look forward to next year spending a lot more time with you all. The last thanks I just wanted to say, of course, is to our members. Thank you so much. We know our job is to have your back, but most importantly, you've had our back. You've stuck with us at a really tough time. When COVID started, like a lot of people, organisations were there saying, what will it mean? We have to stand our team down. We'll not be able to do our work. But we've been able to keep going all day, every day, achieve some great results. And of course, that's thanks to you, our members. We couldn't do it without you. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Craig. That does wrap up our biggest moments for 2020. As you can see, while some industries have unfortunately slowed down during the lockdown and what we've been through here in Victoria, we've been very fortunate to have plenty on our plate, plenty to advocate for, plenty to work towards, plenty of kids to get riding and future event planning to happen. So thank you again. I guess this does take us into the Q&A section, and there have been a few questions. It's not too late to post a question if you do have one to our leadership team. I will throw the first one regarding membership over to Craig. So there's a question that's come from Craig, so to Craig, just about looking to understand why the membership has not grown below its peak of 52,000 and not keeping pace with population growth.
Well, our membership has grown over the last month. We did a few hiccups in membership. And some of the things we've done, which I know we've been mentioned, we've really tried to make sure we get our riders right, so that we make sure our members looked after, and we've had a much better effort, I think, from our mechanical point of view as well through our renewals. We've run some great promotions as well. So over the last 12 months, and probably over the last 15 or 18 months, we did see our membership tone down a little bit. It's certainly bounced back, and as Glenn mentioned, so we're really well on the way. We also want to head back to 50,000. It's a magical number. It's where we want to get to. But yeah, we did have a bit of a hiccup in membership probably, 2 or 3 years ago, and now we've really bounced back. I think we're back on track and going well. We're acutely aware of it. We're working really hard on it, and we're certainly making sure that it's something that we don't let slip again.
Great, thanks, Craig. And I guess the next question probably comes back to me in the advocacy space from John, what actions have been taken in the last year to improve networking and communication between Bicycle Network and the work of local bicycle user groups? As I did mention, we have recently run a local government election campaign, which was the perfect opportunity to reach out to our bicycle user groups and our incredible advocates that are working in that space to, I guess, leverage and make sure that we had a really great reach and that we could get some bike-friendly candidates elected, particularly during this COVID time. We had quite a few bugs engage with us, and it was great to chat with them. We did reach out to everyone that we possibly could, and we hope to keep those relationships going and grow from there. I haven't seen another question come through, but to keep this going, I'm going to ask a question to Beck, because I'm sure there might be some people who are wondering, what do we have in store for our 2021 events?
Thanks, Anthea. Of course, we are kicking off in March with Peaks Challenge Falls Creek, which is incredible to think that the first event that we deliver next year will be the last one that we delivered this year. But we're incredibly excited, and we know that Falls Creek and the community up there around Mount Beauty, Bright and Harriettville, all of that region have had a really, really tough year with both the bushfires and then, of course, the shutdown with COVID. So we're looking forward to supporting them. And we've introduced a new initiative on Peaks to try and get as many riders as we can up there, but understanding that people's normal training regimes have been interrupted over the past few months, of course, as well. As I mentioned earlier, we've got the Great Top End Escape ×2 in June and July, which we're really excited about, getting up to the Northern Territory, spending a bit of time in the warmer weather up there, and of course taking these riders. There'll be close to 250 of them on an incredible 10-day experience through that region. But the big part is we've got Around the Bay and the Great Big Bike Ride, which, you know, there's a lot of talk events coming back bigger and better, but our focus will be on bringing back the events that we know that our riders know and love. So getting those 10,000 people back on Around the Bay, and Great Vic, we're committed to the region that missed out this year. So heading up to the Grampians and the Art Silos. And then from a new events perspective, we're currently working with Destination Gippsland on what will look like a 3-year program of events to support their regional recovery, and a new and exciting one coming to the Melbourne CBD in May next year. So stay tuned for details on that.
Great, thanks, Beck. Lots on our plate, and we're so excited, I guess, to get back riding with you and seeing you all in person, and hopefully we can get that soon, very, very soon. I'm going to throw my next question to Layla. Some people may not know that our Ride to School funding in Victoria is coming up, and I guess a bit of an update on where you're at campaigning to get that program going. We know that there's huge demand for it.
Yeah. Look, as always, so our funding is up in June of next year. And so as always, we want to keep the pressure on to try and make sure we're at the top of people's lists and talking to everybody as best we can. We've met with a couple of key people. We've met with Minister Spence just this last week, who is responsible for the sport community portfolio, which we currently sit in. So that's obviously a really key introduction with that minister, and a really good opportunity to kind of explain where the programme sits currently and what the opportunities are going forward. I think, as I kind of said in my bit of the presentation, I just think we know that getting people riding young and getting them started early on that journey is so critical to those lifelong habits and thinking about, do I drive? Do I take the train? Do I bike somewhere? You know, and that's really important to have that in your kind of portfolio of how you might get around, and to get people riding at that young age is really important to get it into part of their everyday habits, and that's what we're trying to build. So in terms of where we're at, we've got some really great headway in terms of the meetings we've got lined up. We've got a few more to come over the next couple of months, and then into the new year. We know that budgets don't usually come till a bit later in terms of government spending and where they're at. But this is obviously our time now where we really want to make sure that we've hit everybody, talk to them about who we are, what we're doing, the great work that we've achieved, the impact we're currently having, and to see where, you know, what the opportunities are to go next. Because we just really want to help support the states that we can to have that impact, because we know that that's a big priority for everybody.
Thanks, Layla. We obviously want to see that program continue. You guys have done a fantastic job in pivoting, as the word is, for 2020, and getting all that program online and helping parents and teachers continue the work that you're doing at home. So fantastic work there. I'm going to throw another, we do have a question from Jeff Barbie. So back to you, Beck. Is Ride the Night coming back?
Sorry, just like it's not on our schedule at the moment, Jeff, but we are working on 2 concepts. So one, as I mentioned, we're coming to the Melbourne CBD in May, and we'll be launching that early in 2021. And we have working on a pitch for a more community-based event in Melbourne CBD to go to City of Melbourne as well. That would be similar, I guess, in style to Ride the Night, but in that iteration, it's not on the schedule at the moment.
Thanks, Beck. Hope that answers your question, Jeff. There is a question here, another question from Craig. So around the financials and a discussion around cash flow and its continued reduction, is this a concern? I will throw this over to Craig, our CEO.
Yeah, look, with our cash flow is really good. Obviously, we looked at it at the start of the COVID particularly, and we project our cash flow in advance. Our cash has just kept growing a little bit. Now, one of the great challenges, I think, as a not-for-profit is how much money do you want to stack up? Bicycle Network is in a really fortunate position. You know, our forefathers and four people, I should say, have been, you know, our financial management has been really responsible. So we've had a good nest egg. So we've looked after that nest egg. And even at the start of COVID, you know, it's always been regarded as a rainy day fund that sat there. We haven't had to go anywhere near touching that rainy day fund. It still stayed completely intact. So when you build a not-for-profit, you know, you're looking to make sure you have enough money to make sure that you can survive as long as you need to finish the job, to end the cause. Our cause, unfortunately, has still got a long way to go. We're a long way to go before we become a nation of bike riders. We've got a long way to go before enough people get enough physical activity. But our financials are really good. Take a long-term view of it. From some years to years, we do make slight deficits, but as a long-term situation, we are looking to break even at the moment. When you look across our financials over a long period of time, we've broken even, we've maintained our net asset base. So no, organisationally, I think we're in a really strong position.
Thanks, Craig. And thanks for your question, Craig, as well. It's great to see you engaging with it. And I will put out a call out. We might just do a couple more questions. We've all obviously got places we want to be, and it's been fantastic to have you all join us so far. One of our events that we haven't had to cancel this year, which is awesome, is our Super Sunday recreational camp, which is coming up on the 8th of November. So my question for Glenn is, we know that our counts have been, I guess, pivotal in helping form the base of some of our campaigns this year, particularly that pedaling to a better normal. We have some exciting things that are happening in counts. Can you reveal a little bit of maybe the work that we're doing with the City of Melbourne, or even our newest product in our counts program?
Thanks, Anthea. So 2 parts to that, I guess. Part one with City of Melbourne, we're undertaking some counts, some manual counts to test and trial how well put up the new pop-up lanes that they've put in place are going, and work with the council on making sure that they get the results that they want out of those pop-up lanes. So we're helping City of Melbourne along the way there. And then the second part of that was a new program that we're adding into the super counts, which is AIRS. So it's Artificial Intelligence Road Surveys, which effectively is cameras that can autonomously detect and classify road users. So we can use that to track movement. We can use that to detect congestion and motor traffic, and work with councils and governments to really fine-tune intersections, further on count data for longer periods of time than you can do manually, and with a high level of accuracy. So that is ready to launch. We've got a couple of trials that have just started underway now, and that's a pretty exciting project that'll be really coming to life in the next financial year.
Excellent. I'm personally very excited about the data that we can pull and what we can find out about how people are using intersections, and particularly the popularity of the pop-up bike lanes, which we know will be incredibly popular, and they'll start popping up everywhere. I guess I'll wrap it up there. So that does bring us to the end of our annual member night and annual general meeting. Thank you to everyone for tuning in, and congratulations to our newly elected board member Jenica and re-elected board member Kia. Bicycle Network would not be who we are without our wonderful members and volunteers, and I would like to bring this meeting to an end once again, thanking you all for your support throughout what has been a difficult year for many. It makes me very proud to be part of such a committed, inclusive, honest and progressive organisation and bike riding community, one where you can be confident that someone always has your back. So thank you, and we look forward to, I guess, bringing you and helping make it easier for more people to ride in 2021. Thank you.